Hi, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Marketing 101 for Small Business Owners podcast. I'm your host, Philippa Channer. And before we dive into today's exciting episode, I want to wish you all a safe and fun Halloween weekend. You guys be safe out there, but have fun. Get dressed, take your kids out, take your sisters out, whatever you're going to do, but be safe and get lots of candy, and please save me some. Now, let's recap this enlightening marketing series that we have explored so far. In this series, we have dissected the differences of marketing, comparing it to advertising, public relations, and sales. We've learned how marketing is the grand strategy, advertising is the spotlight effect, PR is the reputation builder, and sales is the deal closer. We've uncovered the distinctions, the overlaps, and the synergy between these vital aspects of business growth. So today, we have a special treat for you. Joining us is Nathan Yeung, an experienced marketing strategist with over a decade of expertise advertising B2B businesses. Nathan has a unique background blending marketing, finances, and management consulting, giving him a holistic understanding of business operations and of strategy. His innovative, data-driven campaigns have fueled remarkable business growth, and his problem-solving skills have made his clients industry standouts. All right, Nathan's experience has garnered recognition from numerous organizations, so we're really thrilled to have him here today to share his insights on effective marketing strategies and how small to medium business can thrive in a competitive landscape. So welcome, Nathan. We'll get to the video now. So for you watching on YouTube, you can now see the interview live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Marketing 101 for Small Business Owners podcast. I'm your host, Philippa Channer, and I'm a marketing strategist here in the Montgomery County area. And on this channel, you're going to get some regular marketing content, marketing advice, business strategy advice, and I also slip in some great interviews with local business owners along the way to give them some exposure and just kind of help them out with some marketing tactics and advice. But for today, a little bit more educational, more focused, and I'm happy to have Nathan Yeung here with me. We're going to be talking about some basically marketing strategies, marketing tactics. How's marketing different from PR? How it's different from advertisement? And I'm ready to get the conversation started. So Nathan, please introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about who you are. If you want to talk about your company as well, let's have at it.
Awesome. So my name's Nathan Young. I do small businesses. I work with mid, I work with enterprise, really broad set of marketing experience. Depending on where you want to pinpoint my starting of my marketing career, hypothetically, to a certain extent, I've actually been marketing for almost 19 years, which I know sounds a little crazy. I'm Asian, so you can't tell what age I am, but that could be my entire life possibly.
Yes.
But frankly speaking, I've been doing a lot of marketing, and I was doing a lot of marketing even when I was a teenager. So it's kind of where my experience was started. But my professional background is a little bit different. I have a background in finance and operations as well, so it's a bit more of a well-rounded perspective. But I've been running a marketing firm for the last 6.5 years. We're 25 employees. We work with some of the largest companies in Canada. I know that's probably quite small actually compared to the U.S., but we work on international levels as well. So they do have feet on the ground in the U.S. as well. And my perspective of marketing, we're talking to small business owners here, so I'm not going to bore you with the enterprise stuff. But I think fundamentally, really, marketing comes down to what I'm going to bestow as my best advice is whatever's sustainable and practical for you operators to do. I think so often, if you're listening, I'm sure marketing to you is nebulous, it's scary, it's big. There's so many different things to it.
Yeah.
The most important thing that I want you guys or anyone listening is really just to dumb it down to what can you actually do well. This idea of chasing shiny objects is something that everyone does. You have your
Mhm.
kids telling you to do TikTok videos. You have LinkedIn influencers telling you to write authority posts. You've got various people across SEO or organic blog posts essentially telling you to do a whole bunch of other things, and there's all these things telling you that they need you to do them for you to succeed. And
Yep.
what I'll always come down to is, you need to do what you can execute well on. That's far more important than you trying to do everything, right? You're a business
Yes.
owner. You got limited resources. Your time is valuable. If you don't feel comfortable in front of a camera, don't do TikTok videos. You're going to be wasting your time.
Yes.
If you're an amazing salesperson, go to local events. There are, a million ways to your business. And so, this idea is is always based and baked into whether you're a small business or a big business. It's whatever is sustainable and practical for you. It's whatever you have the resources to do. So I'm going to lead into our big conversation with that because I think that's like the number one advice I give to every
Yes.
single organization I work with, regardless of the size. What do you think about that,
I
Philippa?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That is something I tell my clients all the time, which sometimes if I'm in a client or if I'm in a teaching aspect where I'm leading a webinar or a seminar on marketing tips, that's one of the things I say too is start where you're comfortable. If you are not comfortable using Instagram, don't force yourself to use it, especially if you're just starting out. You need a and especially if your business is new and you're still a small business, new business, you haven't found your voice yet. You haven't found that vibe that really makes you comfortable. And if you want to be authentic and show up, you can't be trying things that you're uncomfortable with because you're definitely not going to be authentic. You're going to look cringy and uncomfortable. And so if you are not comfortable with the platform, stick with what even if your audience isn't there yet, which is huge, you need to be where your audience is. But first, you need to get comfortable just with yourself and talking and creating your brand reputation. Once you get comfortable, then you can make the shift to the platform that's where your audience is. So you're speaking my language here.
Awesome. And you brought up marketing and advertising, and talking about
Yeah.
what how marketing and advertising really work together. I think is an amazing topic. But let's just talk about advertisements. So I'm going to throw some key words here. Don't get
Okay.
intimidated by them, but there are kind of terms that you'll need to know. So there's something called reach, there's something called impressions, and there's something called frequency. Reach, for the definitional purpose, is a unique person. Okay, so you're a single person. That's a single reach. And
Yeah.
then we have impressions, which is how many times a single person sees an ad or anyone sees an ad. So a single person can see the ad 5 times. So that's one reach, and that's 5 impressions. Now, if you're seeing two people, which is two reach, and you have a total of 10 impressions, that could mean on a frequency level that one person has seen it 9 times and the other person has only seen it once. Or that could possibly mean that both of them seen them 5. So frequency is the amount of times a single unique reach has seen it. So when it comes to advertising, it's really important to understand just these kind of definitions because they're the
Yeah.
fundamentals of running advertisements. And the most important thing that I want to give as a tidbit to all small business owners is be ballsy, be aggressive,
Mm.
be creative. Because here's the thing, I just already said the obvious. You don't have unlimited resources. And that's not only just in terms of your time, but likely your money, right?
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is I want you to imagine that you have 100 unique reach on a platform and you have an opportunity to show them an ad, but you don't have a lot of money. So your frequency is probably going to be more like one or two, which means of the 100, you're only going to show them your ad maybe once, and if you're lucky, twice. And
Yeah.
that means you don't have a ton of impressions, right? And if you really think about that, then you have a very small window of opportunity for you to leave an impression. And if you actually read memory studies, one of the amazing ways to increase your memory to remember a list of 10 different items is hyperbole. It's exaggeration. It's actually just in its truest form creativity, seeing something different. And
Yeah.
if you do an advertisement that is just not creative, you are just shooting yourself in the foot
Yeah.
because you have only one or two very fractional, very small opportunities for these people to remember you. And so I really encourage every business owner, get away from spotlight syndrome. You make a mistake, don't be scared about it. You're not spending enough money for everyone to know. So
Yep.
be aggressive, make a statement, make a bold claim, make a funny creative. It's okay because guess what? One, you're not spending enough money that it's going to damage your reputation. And two, you need to. You have to. You're not showing your ad enough times to people for you to remember. Now, I'm going to give
Yeah.
you a scary statistic. The scary statistic is on average, a lot of reports indicate that it's anywhere between 7 to 10 frequency for someone to remember your ad.
Yes.
Now, on an internal testing perspective, now remember, I work with enterprise, pretty boring. Some are manufacturing companies, working for industrial software. Like it ain't sexy business. Okay.
Yeah.
So for us to do a creative ad, it's kind of difficult. So a lot of our ads aren't, they're educational. Our statistics and our testing have indicated that you must show an ad when it comes to these boring type ads. Okay.
Yeah.
Upwards to 40 times.
Wow.
40 times before someone
Yes.
remembers your brand. Okay.
And acts on
So
it.
we're
Yes.
talking about boring creatives. So there's essentially a lever here. The more
Yeah.
boring your creative is, the more frequency you need. So if you have no money, the lever you control is your creativity. That's in your power.
Yeah.
Use it. Don't ever forget about it. And don't
I love-
be shy because it's not worth it. It really isn't. So that's my big thing about marketing and advertising is be bold, be creative, and really focus on your strengths or differentiators that you know you can prove. And I think so. If you're ever planning to do advertising, I want you guys to go into the lens, going to that kind of exercise or initiative with that lens in mind,
Yes.
because it's just not worth it otherwise.
That, and I think another thing that correlates with this is the amount of time people expect to see results before they give up. I know I can't tell you how many times clients are, tempted to shut down an ad after 15, 30 days because, oh, we didn't get anything. And I'm like, that's nowhere near enough time. So, especially if their budget is low on their ad, they're not getting enough of those touch points with each person, and then they try to cut it short too fast. I'm like, you've got to give it like at least 6 months before you start really saying yes or no, is this really working? Maybe adjusting the ad if we think, maybe making it a video instead of an image, or, make some adjustments, but don't shut it down just
Mhm.
because you don't see something in 15 days. Ads don't work that way. Marketing doesn't work that way. It's a long
Absolutely.
game.
And I think another analogy I love giving to people is this idea that marketing in itself is a little bit like a sales funnel. So I think often we always think about MQLs, so marketing qualified leads or leads,
Hmm.
are the top of the funnel for sales. And I think what's really silly about us always talking about that is people forget that there's actually another funnel that begins. And that's the funnel that's even before the lead. And that's the funnel, or as Google calls it. Please look this up. This is an amazing research article. It's called the Zero Moment of Truth, or the Messy Middle.
Okay.
It's research produced by Google, and it's this idea that there is a journey. There is a journey even before they become an MQL, a lead. So before they enter your funnel, they're going through their own marketing funnel, and that's from a trigger to essentially assessment and consideration, and then finally a
Hmm.
choice is made, a decision is made. And if you think running ads for a single month is enough time for them to go through that marketing funnel, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and so for anyone that's listening that runs restaurant, I do a ton of restaurant marketing. We work for fast casual marketing, fast casual restaurants across Canada and the United States. Generally speaking, I'll give you guys some great anecdotes here. We market holidays about 6 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So we talk about Mother's Day 6 weeks before Mother's Day. And we do this because if you really think about it, people are making decisions for key holidays early on, in like very early on.
Hmm.
Also, they want to consider, right? So you want to be the first to be in the consideration set. So let's walk this through, because this is very easy and obvious and very tangible to all. I'm sure a lot of people are, but this is applicable to all businesses. So you hear a Mother's Day ad. So what ends up happening? Well, you talk maybe with your siblings, and now that restaurant is of a single set choice to have a discussion and clear up whether that's going to be the ultimate outcome. So you have that discussion that takes a couple days, right? Or
Yeah.
whenever it's convenient for that person to bring up that conversation. Then ultimately that consortium, that buying group, whether that's your siblings or your dad or whoever, right? You agree. And then when you agree, you plan, right? And so that all takes maybe upwards to 10 days, because no one's really forcing this conversation, but it's going to end up happening. So
Yeah.
within 10 days, someone's going to make a decision already where they're going to Mother's Day. No one's doing this the day before. And if they are, guess what? you're going to be competing against every other person under the sun. So this whole idea that you can run ads in this period of time, that implies, and I'm sorry to ruin your ego, guys, but that implies you have this crystal ball that you like know exactly when these people are making decisions, but you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's a, and you know why I know you don't? Because there's $1 billion industry on intent data, right? So if we all knew when people were making decisions, then of course, we would all be millionaires and we would be serving ads at the perfect right time. But the reality is we don't. So there is, and I say this with some trepidation, but there is a little bit of this spray and pray. Now, spray and
Yep.
pray is not completely blind, but spray and praying is really about being thoughtful on your approach, on how to educate and be mentally convenient for your target market so that when they do have a problem or if they do have a need, you're the first company or brand or messaging or feature or benefit, whatever marketing jibber jab you want to mind. Okay.
Yep.
And here's the really most important part of mental convenience is when you're the first brand in mind, you are an incredibly powerful position. And I'll explain why. If you are the brand of choice, they will always consider something else, usually as long as time is there for them to make that choice. Now, if it's so,
Yeah.
for example, lawyers, plumbing, you don't have a choice. Your house is flooding with unsanitary water. You are calling the first plumber, right? So, as long as there's no time restriction, generally consideration is a factor. So, when you are first and you're first to mind, your features, your benefits are the reference posts to be referencing against your competitor. So if your
Yeah.
competitor is not speaking the exact same language as you are, that either will make that customer assume they don't have that benefit or feature in their product. And that is powerful,
Yeah.
right? That is incredibly powerful. So that's why being mentally convenient, running campaigns, awareness campaigns, or as some people something calls it, brand campaigns, is so incredibly important because being that first to mind is valuable. The
Yep.
unfortunate part is you don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball. And there's $1 billion industry trying to figure out how to be a crystal ball. You can't always figure out exactly when they're making that decision. So you have to continue advertising. You have to keep reminding.
Yes. And I think this leads into the next part of it too is marketing and PR. Having those consistent ads so you're consistently present is one thing, but how you're showing up, if they're clicking on your website to learn more, they're not getting a landing page, or if they're, whatever it is that you set up, you've got to make sure that your PR is in line as well so that they don't have to dig too deep to learn about what they need to learn to make the decision that they want to make. So, do you have any experience with helping your clients with PR and making sure that they're thinking about that along the way as well?
So PR to us in our organization is actually the only facet of the entire marketing kind of wheelhouse that we don't actually really do, but we do strategy behind it.
Okay.
So we don't execute on the operations of PR, but we do the strategy to advise the potential marketing angles.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about PR is PR is a way to leverage authority with storytelling. And
Yeah.
one of the things, and I go back to restaurant marketing because it's probably one of the more fun things that I get to do, is in terms of marketing when it comes to PR, when it comes to retail, I always go, you need to create stories for people to have conversations with you. And I always kind of imagine this in the sense of like you always have champions who believe in your brand. And what
Mhm.
PR does is it amplifies the ability for that champion to talk and influence others. So, for example, let's just say you're a big fitness freak and you love supplements and health and all these kinds of things, and so you get this great editorial spot, Men's Health or something, right? You've just introduced this brand new supplement. It's a brand new supplement and it's a brand that you love. I know this sounds silly, but this happens to everyone. Your communal group, okay? You know this. I want you to think about that one person who just like loves something so much you kind of hate it when they talk about it.
Yeah.
You kind of just like kind of get annoyed a little bit, just a little bit, right? But
Yeah.
but you appreciate they're an authority, but you also appreciate how repetitive it is, and
Yeah.
how annoying that can get. Now, what ends up happening with PR is when PR goes out, it gives that person that you kind of hate hearing from a reason to bring up that product again or that brand. And
Yeah.
it creates this ability to generate conversation. And for me, if you can generate conversation, you win. Um, in a thoughtful way, right? So I think
Yeah.
controlling that narrative, controlling that conversation is really important, and PR does that. So PR is kind of like this catalyst, I find, where it enables your influencers to have conversations, and of course, it has its distribution and reach and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
there's impressions being served, there's people seeing it, there's net new people seeing it. But really, for me, when I see PR, I find it's like this enabler to allow your community, your tribe, or whatever marketing speak you like to call about the people that love you, to talk about you even more. And
Yeah.
it almost like it gives them this safe forum, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
kind of like this get out of jail free card to bring you up again. And I love that because those influencers can influence. And what I like to call is I call it the journey from 0 to 100. I talk about how there are different marketing tactics, advertisements, forums, Reddit, webinars, corporate events, whatever. They
Yeah.
all have impact values. And one of the biggest, just anecdotal impact values is a friend, right? A friend can take you from 0 to 100, frankly
Yeah.
speaking, right? In a single conversation. So if you can enable all of these people who are champions to talk to their groups, that's a massive network effect. And I think PR plays a massive role in that, far more than like advertisements and case studies, right? Because
Yeah.
PR is a little bit third party, right? It's a bit more authoritative, it's a bit more authentic, it's a little bit easier for these influencers, these champions, to talk about the brand.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying about confidence with good PR, good community around you. It gives that brand confidence to be more authentic and going back to making those creative ads. If you've got good PR, you feel more confident in yourself to go ahead and be a little wild, do a little bit more to get that attention in the ad than you would have been a little bit more conservative if you weren't confident in
Yeah.
yourself. So kind of full circle. And the other part of this is sales. Of course, advertisement has a lot to do with sales. And so, but I know and in my opinion, I feel like should be a clean line between where marketing ends and sales begins. Some people kind of blur the line a little bit. So where do you feel on that?
It's a great question. Marketing, the way we talk about marketing, especially in some of our larger organizations, is it's everything but the technical solutions and selling and the relationship building. And
Okay.
and when I say relationship building, like, you could argue or debate, I wouldn't say argue, that nurture emails are kind of a part of building a relationship. But
Yeah.
like, really, the relationship, I suppose, that I'm really trying to get at here is a personal relationship. It's a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah.
And I think often you're right. I think marketing and sales overlap quite a bit, and you'll have salespeople working on PowerPoints when they don't really know how to do PowerPoint. You'll have
Yeah.
sales or marketing working on emails and outbound email copy. So I think there is a ton of overlap, and I think it's really important for most organizations to try to get to the point where their salespeople are doing what they do best, and really that what that is they are personal built people who are experienced in leading and discover and leading conversations in a thoughtful way, um, being very intuitive and and sensitive EQ wise on
Hmm.
generating a conversation that creates momentum towards your product
Yeah.
and nurturing those relationships, and hopefully, to a certain extent, fulfilling some administrative needs for you to sign a contract or a sale, right? So paperwork, right? They're organized enough to do paperwork. So I think that, to me, is sales, right? So it's kind of that. Everything else should more or less be marketing, right? Sales is going to
Yeah.
be a great point to generate copy, because they'll have objections and they'll have to do objection handling all the time on calls, and so that's great feedback. But I wouldn't lean on sales to do the copy for that, right? I wouldn't lean on sales to write the benefit statements to go against those objections.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have sales lead the conversation on the best format, whether that is a PowerPoint or a one pager PDF or a webinar, to again go against those objections. That's really marketing,
Yeah.
and it's not a skill set that I expect salespeople to be doing well. So therefore, it's just inefficient for them doing. So that's kind of the line that I like to draw. It's an incredibly hard line to find and develop.
Yep.
But that's how I would define it, because you don't want these people just wasting time on things that they're inefficient with. It's like anything else in a business. You don't want, you know, you're a small business owner right now. I can guarantee I know for a fact and you know this, you're probably far better at one thing than you are another, but you're spread
Exactly.
thin. So the
Yeah.
last thing you really want are your salespeople spread thin, because it's kind of like, it's just not good value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, and a lot of my clients too are small business in a sense where they're solopreneurs. They don't have a team. They are the marketing, they are the sales, they are everything. And so it's hard for, for them, especially the line gets even more blurry as where, at what point, okay, so I went to a networking event and I met somebody. We're building a relationship, we schedule one-on-one, we're getting to know each other. And then we say, hey, I think maybe we could do business together. We do a discovery call, and then we move into the proposal. It's like feeling out for them. Okay, where did their marketing end, and then their sales begin, and how to understand to switch the language. You're building trust with people. You're especially for somebody who's offering a service, not a product. So you really have to build their trust to say yes, it's going to be worth the money. You can't see it right now, but it's going to be worth the money once you invest in me. So it's like trying to explain to them how to make that switch from marketing to sales once the conversation navigates to proposals and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately it just comes to scale and economics, right, to a certain
Yeah.
extent as well. I think, and look, even my own business, we're 25 employees and we're still hire every
Nice.
month, and si- sometimes it's not possible, right, just economically for you to separate sales and marketing,
Yeah.
especially when you're a single operator.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you're in this situation, the only thing that I think would be an amazing move for you is really just try to scope out the work as best as you can,
Hmm.
meaning really try to define that work and try your best to hire a freelancer to execute purely on that scope on a fixed fee basis.
Yes. Yes.
That's not going to be easy. I'm just going to say that. But what I will say is it will at least free up your time, and it'll give you a better product regardless. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably the easiest way for some businesses to get out of this kind of hamster wheel of like, I want to try to do it, but I can't, but I have to, but I can't. I think that's a nice little baby step for organizations or small business owners to kind of move towards a bit more of a model where, again, you're focusing your time on sales, and this marketing stuff is really being taken care of by another individual.
Yes. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Nathan, I appreciate you making the time to be with us to share. Do you have any other marketing advice you want to spit out for these small business owners?
Oh gosh, I
Where
have a
to start?
lot. uh, I have a lot. I really do. This year, I've written a book that's not been published yet, so it's on the first draft.
Yay.
80,000
Okay.
words or something, and it's all about consumer psychology and marketing. And so here's the one thing that I'm going to say. Yeah, a lot of marketing is best practices, and I was kind of getting frustrated with that in the sense that, like, I'm a pretty analytical type person, and so I wanted to find like underlying science behind everything. And
Yeah.
funny enough, like literally everything I've talked about today has underlying science. And
Oh,
so if you're ever interested, you can go check out my Instagram or even my LinkedIn. My Instagram is marketing fya.marketingbytes. But I showcase all this consumer psychology stuff that really relates directly into marketing
Okay.
and essentially directly like kind of ties into some of the best practices. So I'll drop in here if you're ever interested. Look up the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is more or less an overconfidence bias. There's all kinds of biases and heuristics that basically state that we as humans are incredibly lazy people, and marketers play into this all the time. Probably whenever I release this book, Philippa is going to be so kind to actually put this out. But I
Yes,
will
I
be
would love to.
releasing a book, and if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram. And if you're ever just interested, I really recommend diving into some scientific research. There's so much serial positioning effect is a huge thing. But Dunning Kruger is hilarious. Dunning Kruger I use almost every other day now. And it
Nice.
has this little curve which basically indicates that we're all overly confident on things that we should not be.
That's something that's hitting home right now is I'm working on kind of restructuring my services and how I'm presenting it because I really want to raise my prices, but I'm struggling with if I'm going to raise my prices, am I raising my prices because I'm overly confident in the work that I say I'm going to do? I need to be realistic to what I'm presenting and valuing it appropriately. And so I'm definitely interested in this topic. I would love to have you back to share about the book, either like right before it releases or after it releases, so we can kind of learn a little bit more about what that means, and how to apply it. So it'll be great to have you back.
Awesome.
Awesome, perfect. And so, and do you have? I know you mentioned where some links there, your Instagram link. Anywhere else you want people to connect with you?
Yeah, if you ever want, honestly, I'd be lying to say that I have the best website. I don't. You can check me out on our website, which is www.findyouraudience.online. Honestly, I'm just gonna straight up tell you, and I'm gonna own up to this as a marketing guy who runs a marketing business. I am so busy working on my clients that I barely work on my business. 99% of my business is referrals. Okay,
Yep.
and my website, I'm gonna give a solid 6 out of 10. So you go into that website, you're going to get a lot of information, but to me, it's a shitty website, and I'll own up to that.
Yep.
But nonetheless, here's another thing that everyone should also know. That doesn't mean I shouldn't do better on the website. It just means that I'm still operating, and I'm probably losing opportunities that I'm not spending enough time on my website. But yeah, you can go into my website. You can click a discovery call if you really want to chat with me. But
Okay.
honestly, a lot of my learnings are online, and you can ask a question on any of my social platforms.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, great conversation. Guys, please make sure if you haven't already subscribed to any of the podcast channels you're listening on, please make sure you do to stay up to date and consistent with the content we're sharing. And come back. You guys have a great week. Love this conversation. Appreciate the time again, Nathan.